Hello, today I want to tell you about my project. Its topic is Multispectral Images Recognizing, so let's begin. First of all, I want to tell you about the plan of my presentation. As you can see, it has 4 blocks. In the first block, I will talk about neural networks, multispectral images, its using, and our project. After that, I will specify our goals and will analyze the methods of solving our problem and choose the best. Then I will talk about the experiments that we conducted to select the best model parameters. And in the end of the presentation, I will tell you about our solution that we came up with, the results that we had, and ways to evolve our project. So what a multispectral image actually is? A multispectral image is one that captures image data within the specific wavelength ranges across the electromagnetic spectrum. The wavelengths may be separated by filters or detected via the use of instruments that are sensitive to particular wavelengths, including light from frequencies beyond the visible light range and infrared and ultraviolet. Another important concept in this presentation is neural network. An artificial neural network is a mathematical model as well as its software or hardware embodiment built on the principle of organizing and functioning biological neural networks, networks of neural cells of a living organism. So where humanity uses multispectral images. The number of areas of use of multispectral images is huge, but for this presentation, I choose the most interesting, in my opinion. It's space-based imaging. If you have ever seen an infrared image of the Earth taken from space, you have likely seen an image captured with a multispectral imaging camera or instrument. Multispectral imaging also helps farmers to minimize the use of sprays, fertilizers, and irrigation while increasing the yield from their fields. It also helps healthcare providers pinpoint the presence of diseases that are hard to identify with other means. Multispectral imaging can be used to detect landmines and underground missiles by analyzing the emissivity of the ground surfaces. It is used to detect and track military targets. This type of detection is also known as thermal imaging. And also multispectral imaging detects the body of the missile as well as the rocket plumes, so it can be used for ballistic missile detection. Now we understand that multispectral images can be used in many different areas, but what problem are we going to solve in our project? Well, in this project, we want to solve the problem of recognizing flying object by multispectral images. A little more about our project. Our goal is to create a system that will be recognizing objects from multispectral images. We set ourselves the following tasks: analyze methods to solve the problem, create neural network, and train it. The object of our project is the process of recognizing objects from multispectral images, and the subject is methods and tools of multispectral images recognition. Okay, what about our solution? We came up with an idea to create and train a neural network that will classify what type of object appeared. It will be 3-layered. It means that neural network will have input and output layers and one hidden layer where all calculations will be made. Also, it will have class as an output. For an input, we will have an array of numbers from 0 to 1, and as an output, we will have a class of object, drone, missile, or something else. In order to better think about our project, we have created a use case diagram. As you can see, an ordinary user can only load and use a neural network, but the neural network itself still has many options for action. For example, it can be created, and those use cases include such as use cases as prepare data, construct network, train it, and evaluate. Also, it has many different use cases, but I will not comment them. We also created a class diagram to better understand the principles of neural network. At the head of everything is a neuron. It has such parameter as lists of weights, out and in. It can be activated, it can be initialized, and those weights can be set. Layers consisted from one or many neurons, and layers can be 3 types: input and output. That can be only one in a hidden layer, or in neural network, and there can be one or many hidden layers. Those layers have such functions as initialize layer and printed. Neural network are created from one input, one output, and one or many hidden layers. It has such functions as initialize network and printed, and such parameter as the number of hidden layers, input layer, hidden layer, list of hidden layers, and output layer. We can execute a neural network, namely initialize the data, train and test neural network. When training data for each layer, the activation function is called, for example, sigmoid on this picture. It has such functions as get derivative and get activation. To implement our program, we used the Python programming language, used Keras library for creating neural network, NumPy and Pandas for working with data, and Matplotlib for plots. Let's start with data that we used in our work. We had a data set that consisted of 5 columns. First 4 columns are describing an image, parts of blue, green, red, and infrared frequencies. And the last one tells us which type of object is on this image. We divided our data to train and test data sets in proportion 80 on 20%. On this slide, you can see the visualization of the data using the pair plot. This plot shows the relationship between all variable pairs. It shows the ratio for n,2. The combination of the variable on the data frame is a graph matrix, and the diagonal graphs are one-dimensional graphs. From this picture, we can conclude that our data is representative, and we can use them to train our network. Here you can see our code for creating and training a neural network. On the first row, we are defining Keras model and using sequential API for this. The sequential model API is a way of creating deep learning models where an instance of the sequential class is created and model layers are created and added to it. After that, we add layers to our neural network. As a result, it has the following architecture. Input layer with 4 neurons, number of rows that describe our image, one hidden layer that has tangents activation function, and one output layer that has 3 neurons and softmax activation function. On a hidden layer, we have 5 neurons. After that, we can compile our model. Remember that training of a network means finding the best set of weights to map inputs to outputs in our data set. We must specify some parameters. In this case, we will use a sparse categorical cross entropy as the loss argument. It addresses this by performing the same cross entropy calculation of error without requiring that the target variable be one hot encoded prior to training. We will define the optimizer as an efficient stochastic algorithm, gradient descent algorithm ADAM. This is a popular version of gradient descent because it automatically tunes itself and gives a good results in a wide range of problems. Finally, because it is a classification problem, we will collect and report the classification accuracy defined via the matrix argument. Now it's time to execute the model on some data. We can train or feed our model in our loaded data by calling the feed function on the model. Training occurs over epochs. Epoch is one pass through all the rows in the training dataset. Parameter validation split means that we divide our data into dataset for training and dataset for validation of results to escape overtraining. We have trained our neural network on the entire dataset, and finally we can evaluate the performance of this network on the same dataset. This will only give us an idea of how well we trained our model on the existing data, but no idea on how well algorithm might perform on new data. On this picture, you can see a final result for our network, but we did a lot of experiments to come to these values, and I want to tell you a little more about it. First of all, we experimented with an activation functions. On this picture, you can see accuracy of neural network that uses different activation functions on hidden layer and softmax activation function on the output layer. According to the plot, we can see that accuracy of the neural network does not really depend on the activation function on the hidden layer. On this picture, you can see accuracy of neural network that uses different activation functions on the output layer, and on the hidden layer uses tangents. From the graph, we can conclude that the best option for the output layer will be sigmoid or softmax functions. To test our hypothesis, we plotted the accuracy of the neural network that uses different activation functions for the hidden and output layer. It shows that the combination of tangents and softmax, it's 1 and 3, really gives the best results. So we use this combination in our neural network. On this figure, you can see the accuracy of neural network, which uses different optimizers. From the graph, you can see that 5 functions at once showed a good result. We choose ADAM because it automatically tunes itself and gives a good results in a wide range of problems. This slide shows a plot of dependence of the accuracy and loss on the number of learning epochs. The plot shows that the accuracy reaches maximum value at 220 epochs and no longer changes. But at the same time, with a further increase of number of epochs, losses fall, reaching the optimal value on the level of 1,200 epochs. This is the number we choose for our neural network. On this slide, you can see the confusion matrix of the results of the neural network on the training data. Correct answers are plotted vertically and predicted ones are plotted horizontally. At the intersection, it is indicated how much data the neural network guessed correctly and how many were wrong. The graphic shows that the neural network perfectly distinguishes drones from planes and rockets, but sometimes confuses the last two types of object with each other. To improve the results of neural network, it is worth showing more images in which there are rockets and planes. Remember about the dataset for testing we created at the beginning. It's time to use it. We evaluated accuracy of our network during its training on data that is already seen and had a 98% and 9% of losses. Now let's see how our network will process that data that it never seen before, our test data set. As you can see on the following code, we had 100% of accuracy. It means that data our neural network works really good. Let's go to the use case. Using our neural network is quite simple. After running the program, you will need to enter values divided by commas, and the neural network will process those values and give a prediction with the type of object in the image will be written. For example, we gave it data and it had this is rocket. I see 3 ways of evolving our project further. It is worth noting that they are not mutually exclusive. The first is to create a convenient interface so that a user can use fields and buttons instead of the console. The second way is to improve the accuracy of the neural network by using larger data sets and experimenting with model parameters. The third is, and the most ambitious, is to create with the system with the possibility of exchanging signals between programs and headquarters for military targets. And the summary. During the work on this project, we set the goals to solve the problem of classifying flying objects by their multispectral images. We trained and tested our neural network and also carried out many studies in trying to find the best parameters of the model. We received good results, 98% accuracy on training data and 100% on test data. We also considered ways to evolve the project further. I think that's all. Thank you for attention. Goodbye.